The New York Jets, a team I'm not necessarily high on for this season, but I like a lot of the building blocks they're building towards. Do I think they're close to ready to contend for playoffs? No. They have a lot of work to be done. But I see the work they are doing, and it gets me very optimistic for the future. I like the new head coach they brought in. I like some of the other pieces they moved around, and I think they had a phenomenal NFL draft. But this season, I don't see a lot of hope and optimism besides the two standout players the Jets have. That being said, you look at this team, and with what you really need is to figure out how to get the quarterback, the guy. And the Jets are building something to the point I think they can get that guy next season. But in order to get that, we have to get through the 2025 season. So let's preview the 2025 New York Jets season. First, let's start off with the New York Jets free agency period. They lost DJ Reed, Javon Kinlaw, Devontae Adams, Hassan Reddick, Morgan Moses, and Aaron Rodgers. Some of those are addition by subtraction. Cough, cough, Aaron Rodgers. Cough, cough, Javon Kinlaw, in my opinion. I really do think losing Devontae Adams does suck, but I understand it. He is over the age of 30, and you brought him in to play with Rodgers. Rodgers wasn't Rodgers last year, and it really affected Devontae Adams. I still think he's a very talented football player, but with the direction the Jets are going, yeah, you don't need to keep him long-term, and his contract was pretty ginormous. You lose DJ Reed, and I think that one's going to really blow because he is such a talented cornerback. He can play on the outside, he can play inside. I even think he could probably play safety if you asked him to. Just a really versatile player in the secondary, so losing him does suck. Morgan Moses, he's a veteran tackle. He's going to the Patriots. I don't think it's a major loss, especially when you look at their draft class, but it does suck because he would be a good vet in the locker room for a young offense line. And lastly, losing Hassan Reddick, that situation was so weird last year. It's hard to really even come up with words to describe it. He wanted to leave Philly, left Philly, got traded to the Jets, then he didn't want to play for the Jets because of the contract, and it just snowballed. And losing him, really, are you losing anything? Because he didn't play a whole lot last year, and when he did play for the Jets, they weren't spectacular because he missed a lot of training camp, a lot of practices, a lot of important reps. So do I think the Jets got better or worse? I don't think the Jets got worse. Now, if you know my thoughts on Justin Fields, they're not too positive. To me, Jets fans, he is Daniel Jones with better PR. He has the same faults as Daniel Jones. He'll take off and run. He doesn't have the best vision. He can't read defenses all that well downfield. He will throw the ball downfield, but oftentimes it's not the best decision. He rushes throws. He scrambles in the pocket. He gets scared in the pocket. He is not an NFL franchise quarterback. I think it's a fine move, especially because they can pretty much get out of the contract after 1 year. 1 year stopgap. If it works out, hey, I was wrong. Congrats, Jets. Now to talk about the Jets draft, and I could spend probably 20 minutes talking about this draft class because I think it's that talented, but I'm going to cover 3 guys, and the rest of the guys you'll have to listen to on my AFC East podcast when that drops. But to start out, we have to talk about Armin Membu. Membu was a guy, I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of him as a tackle, but I still liked the pick because I thought he would be an excellent guard. That being said, he does have enough athletic traits that I do believe you try him out at tackle first, and if he works out at tackle, great. But if not, I do think he can slide into guard and be a very high-profile guard at the NFL level. They also drafted Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor is the son of Jason Taylor, the Pro Football Hall of Famer from Miami Dolphins. I always find it funny that the son doesn't play dad's position. But you watch him on the field, and I was very interested to see who drafted him and what system he would go into. Mason Taylor, I definitely think can play the Sam Laporta role in offense, and considering this new staff is from the Detroit Lions, you very much have to view him in that role. He's a very talented receiver, but he's very raw. I still think he's got a lot of ways to grow as a player. He needs some developmental. I don't expect a big season 1 or maybe even a big season 2. But I think when we look at the back half of the rookie contract, I think we start to see really the positives he was drafted for. He's a very versatile athlete at the tight end position, has very good hands. His blocking ability, it's just not there yet, and maybe it won't ever be there because he is a more versatile receiving threat. His route running could use some more movement. He could use some more crispness on the routes. He sometimes takes them a little too wide. I would like to see him improve on that. Overall, I think he's a talented player that you definitely take in the second round, and I do love the pick. And the last pick I want to cover is Malachi Moore. Malachi Moore is a deep-ranging safety that I really liked in the draft class. I liked a lot of safeties this year, and Malachi Moore was one of the names. He unfortunately got knocked down because there were so many guys I liked. But I kept on watching him, and I was like, this dude has a nose for the football. He's a good tackler, sound tackler. He doesn't really miss in tackles. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be the best, like tackling like a Derrick Henry or anything, but you look at him in the open field, I do trust him to make a tackle on a receiver. And you look at his ability to cover guys. He is not just a guy who has to be in someone's face. No, he has good range. He can get around the field. He has good movement. He can play that deep robbing safety look, which I think Aaron Glenn very much values from his time with the Detroit Lions. Before I get into the strengths and weaknesses of the Jets, I think it's important to talk about my thoughts of new head coach Aaron Glenn. I honestly really like Aaron Glenn as a coach, and I think he's going to do very well. Mainly because I saw what he worked with in Detroit, especially last season down the stretch. The Detroit Lions were having a plague of injuries. It was brutal. No one was healthy. But they still played very good football. They lost in the divisional round, giving up a lot of points. Yes, that was also with a lot of backups on the team, and he just didn't have his starters. You look at this Jets defense. This defense does have a lot of really good players to the point you could see the Jets having a relatively successful defensive campaign this year. The concern is offense, especially with a rebuilding team. You always wonder, hey, is he the right guy to draft a quarterback with, develop with a quarterback? You don't necessarily know. It very much on who the offensive coordinator is. And with Tanner Engstrand, we haven't seen enough to really say how good he will be at developing a quarterback. He worked very well in the Detroit Lions passing system, so there is some hope there. We just don't know enough to really say if he's the guy or not. Before I do move on to strengths and weaknesses, I just want to shout out Steve Wilks, one of my favorite defensive coaches in the NFL in recent years. I think he's been the blame guy for a lot of other issues on teams. The 49ers, I think he was taking the blame for, even though it was not his fault. The Cardinals were just a mess. They got rid of him after one season. And you look at the job he did in Carolina, I really do like Steve Wilks as a coach, and I think he can be a potential head coach in the future if he wants that position again. I don't know if he does or not. But you look at how his defenses play, they always play really good. And with Aaron Glenn adjusting to the head coach life, having a very valuable head coaching experienced defensive coordinator is crucial for him to have success. He can help him with clock situations, challenge situations, what have you. And he also is a very valuable defensive mind for the coaching staff as well. Jets' biggest strength is most likely their defense still. Their defense is still really talented. They have Sauce Gardner, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. They have a lot of really good young pass rushers. I expect a good season from Will McDonald, being in Aaron Glenn's defense or Steve Wilks' defense, however you want to categorize it. I expect this defense to still be very good. Do they have some concerns? Absolutely. You look at the linebacking core, you would like to see better production there, some better downhill players, but they're overall still in a rebuilding process when you look at the Jets. I like their defense. I expect them to bounce back this season after a rough second half this season last year. They have too much talent to not be the biggest strength for this team. Now, weakness, I think it is at the quarterback position. The offense line, I think, is getting better, but it is still very young and very questionable. But I don't think their quarterback's going to help that out at all. Justin Fields holds on the ball way too long. His eyes do not read defenses all that great. He does not move off his first read very well. If you play fantasy football, I'd recommend you draft Garrett Wilson just because Justin Fields will keep his eyes on Garrett Wilson a bunch. Then you also look at the fact Justin Fields has had injury issues in his NFL career, and he plays a style that doesn't really help him staying healthy. And when you look at the Jets' offense line, if you have questions about that, you have questions if he'll stay healthy because he will scramble, he will move around, and he will take unnecessary hits. I just don't think that's going to work out long-term for the Jets, and especially when you look at this whole roster, they are going to not be the best of the teams this year. And that's okay because they're more or less building towards the future. They're bringing in the young guys. They have a really good draft class we're going to see very much showcase this season. Where do I have the Jets finishing their division? I just have them in fourth place. I think this is a team that can be much better in 2026, but for 2025, I just see a lot of issues. The offense line is still young. They're going to need time to gel together. It might be a better unit down the stretch than it is at the start of the season. Justin Fields, I am not a big fan of him. I do not think he's an NFL starting quarterback. I think it's just hoping for the best and not really getting with what you're going to expect. Then you look at the defense. The defense is very talented, but you have concerns about this offense. You have concerns about short-term possessions that the defense will be on the field longer, which will wear on them, and eventually they will break. I think this team has some talent, but they are still a little bit of ways away for me to really buy into them as a whole team. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you'd share this, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to hit 300 subscribers by the start of the NFL season. I'm currently at 280 at the time of this recording. Any subscription would help. I know it doesn't seem a whole lot. You're 20 subscriptions away. That's not hard to get, but to me, it would mean a lot. I'd greatly appreciate the support. And thank you very much for watching. If you like this content, I am doing 32 in 32 days, 32 team previews in 32 consecutive days. The upload prior was the New York Giants. Tomorrow, or whenever you're watching this, the next upload is the Philadelphia Eagles. I am almost done. I'm almost at the finish line. So there's almost 32 team previews you can watch this channel. I hope you enjoyed this content. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.